Welcome back to the Art in the Easel. I'm Aaron Chisholm. Have my co-host
Gina
Garcia, and then our co-host for today. What do you call him when
our guest.
Not a co-host. Well, we have our guest Indu Damodar here, or she just goes by Indu.
Yeah.
She said that Indu Damodar sounds too what?
I love my name. I love my full name, but I was just trying to say a little mysterious, but it's fine. It's fine.
ID is what I also call her. No ID.
Yeah. Such a good nickname.
Yes, welcome back to another episode. This is Art in the Easel, where we discuss art and the merger between art and spirituality, and then the artist that kind of incorporates the art. Mm-hmm. The easels that we talk to on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis. And yeah, I guess we'll get started with our meditation first, and then we'll get to know Indu a little bit more and get started with our episode. So
sounds good.
Let's get started.
Awesome. So we'll kick it off. It'll be like a minute meditation, very short and sweet, just to like recenter ourselves. So if everyone could close their eyes.
Not if you're driving.
Not if you're driving. Also, before you close your eyes, you should find a place to close your eyes. So find a comfortable chair. If you're in bed, maybe just lay horizontal, palms facing up, like straightening out your back, your neck, whichever form you feel most comfortable. Then close your eyes and focus on your breathing, meaning putting your hands on your tummy really helps. And slowly breathing in and out, and we can begin. Slowly breathe in, and then slowly breathe out. Make sure that you're focusing on your breath despite any distractions that could be around you. I know it's a little difficult, so just be sure to focus on where your hands are at, focusing on the movement of your belly. Now breathe in and breathe out. We'll do this 2 more times. Breathing in and breathing out. One last time. Breathe in and breathe out. Now you could open your eyes, get yourself situated.
Put the car back into drive.
Yeah, put the car back into drive. Drop down your groceries that you had if you were at the grocery store listening to this.
Wait, so after the meditation they dropped, they were holding their groceries while they were meditating?
What if they were holding it? I usually don't let my groceries go, even if it's like I should have gotten a cart instead of a basket, I don't know.
Oh, I relate to that.
Yeah.
That's a vibe.
Because you felt ambitious and you didn't think you were going to get a lot, but then you end up getting everything on your list, Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
That was helpful despite the background noise.
I think that's like what when you mentioned despite all the distractions.
Yeah, it's helpful.
that was us right there.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it. It just shows that we have to like be centered in the chaotic environment.
Yeah, that's very valid.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel around you. So much chaos that I need a moment to like chill out.
Dang.
We love the roast.
Well, yeah, speaking of roasting, we have the roast queen herself, Indu, here. So just more context before we dive into Indu. Like, myself, Indu, and Gino, we always have like really interesting conversations pretty much every single time we hang out. And yeah, it always ends up like, I always end up learning something, or like having a new awakening about myself, or like something that is just helpful to my journey whenever we all link up, honestly. So yeah, I'm happy to have Indu. Lately, though, it's just been filled with a bunch of jokes towards me. I don't know what Indu and Gina have been doing lately, but lately it's just been a lot of like roasting, and we haven't had too many serious conversations lately. So I think today is like the first in like a few weeks.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's very true.
So I've been getting roasted for the last few weeks, but otherwise it's been great. But
you're toasty and warm. It's fine.
Right.
Well, it's fine.
Indu. Who is Indu? Like, who are you? And like, just before we get started into like art and the easel and all the good stuff that we typically talk about, who's Indu?
Yes. Before we jump in, I want to say two things. One, first off, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. And second, I just want to take a moment to celebrate you both, because it takes a lot of guts to have an idea, but then actually set it up and make it happen and execute. And I remember when you guys were first talking about starting the podcast, from ideating to being here a few episodes down. So very proud of you, and hope you both are taking it all in and celebrating that too. That is incredible.
Thank you.
So kudos.
Appreciate it.
And the question, who am I? I always think about how to answer this question, and it always comes down to, I'm a proud daughter of immigrant parents. I think that's how I introduce myself. In terms of my background, I was born in India, grew up there for a little bit, and then moved to Minnesota, which is where I did all the way from elementary school through college. After college, lived in Seattle for a little bit, and now here in LA. And from a career perspective, I work in tech, and I know a lot of people assume coding, not what I do at all. I'm on the business side, but being creative, being artistic, and using kind of the left side of my brain has always been something that has had a pull on me, but not something that I've invested time into. So now, being a 20-something-year-old, being a few years into my career, I've been thinking a lot about what does it mean, going back to my roots. I was very creative as a kid, and it makes me sad that I kind of let go some of that when I grew up. So I'm on my journey to rediscovering that.
How do you approach letting yourself be more creative? Like, how do you approach that?
I think it's two phases. One, I've been reflecting a lot on why I let go of some of the creative aspects. So when I was little, I was in theater. I loved being on stage. It was so much fun. When I moved to the US, I remember this like it happened yesterday. My middle school was like putting on a production of High School Musical. I knew nothing. I mean, obviously I wasn't good at acting or anything, but I loved theater, and I really wanted to audition. And I remember one friend looking at me and saying, "Do you think you look like Vanessa Hudgens? What makes you think they're going to choose you?"
Wow.
I remember having that conversation, and at that moment, I felt a lot of gratitude. I felt like my friend had saved me from embarrassment, and I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Going to audition for something that I don't look like a lot of the people that I see on TV. Like, why do I think I even have a chance? She saved me from so much embarrassment, and that one moment was the end of me like trying anything in theater and acting again. That had such a strong impact on me. So it was a lot of reflecting. And then I also was in choir all through middle school. When I was a kid, did not have a good support system with any of the teachers that were in that situation with me. So I kind of let that go. I was like, oh, there's no hope for me. Like, no one's going to believe in me. I did dance a ton as a kid. Similarly, like, I never gave it a chance. The only piece of art that I've been holding on to and still do today is painting. That gives me a lot of energy and joy, but it's first reflecting, like, why did I let a lot of this go? And now it's taking small steps back. One thing that I've started doing, which has been really helpful, is I get these guided journals. I got them at Barnes & Noble.
Nice.
So every day there's a prompt, like, what makes you happy in your moment, or like, what is a restaurant you like? Just really, really random prompts. And it's a page. There's no time limit. You can write as much as you want, but you just start writing. And there's also a guided drawing book. Like, each day there's a prompt, like, draw an avocado or draw a dancing teddy bear, like random things like that. And then it kind of gets you back in that mindset of not letting the fear of judgment or the people around you stop you from producing the art that means a lot. So that's one tangible step that I've taken to kind of get myself back in that mindset that I miss.
Yeah, and in that same vein, like our like world-renowned question is, what is the definition of art to you? With all that being said, like, how do you define art? Is it just, what you're doing? Like, how do you define it?
Absolutely. I think the definition of art is very similar to the definition of love. It's different person to person, so that's the principle. For me personally, I think art is something that is done with the intention of creativity. The reason I say that is, let's say there's a painting that's mass produced in a factory. It's just like printouts after printouts. There's no intent of creativity there. It's very automated. So I don't consider that art. So art to me is something that's done with the intent of creativity, with the intent of creating art. And for me, art is also something that's beautiful. Like if there's hate speech or hate in any form of a painting or a poem, I don't consider that art. For me, it's beauty and the intent of creation that makes something art. Well, how do you guys think about art? How do you define it?
I was thinking about this last night. When we look at our old episodes and we've defined what it means, what art means to us. I think it's changed even since then. Honestly, it changes for me all the time. Every time I think I see a new piece of art. And I've been like learning about like creativity and like what does it mean to create. And art is essentially, even in our movements day to day, it's actually not even like a creation. I think Gina mentioned this in one of our episodes as well, but I think art is just like living. Art is just like us walking, how we speak to people. It's all a creative act. Like when we actually make an attempt to even move or give someone a kind word, that's essentially like art in some instances, because you're creating something that wasn't there before. And I think just the way we live is art. That's again, that may change 2 weeks from now, but I think my definition of art has evolved to just being everything. Like the trees, the wind, the plants, everything is a form of art, whether it's made by us or created by the universe. The universe creates its own version of art. So I think it's just, we're art. Like we're the universe's creation. So I think literally there's nothing that isn't art, honestly.
Ooh, that's interesting. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Do you both
Listen about this. Look, she just.
Why did you say it like that though? You're like, yes.
Because you know how when you like on those shows and like the person that you're interviewing starts interviewing the other person. And that's why I said co-host at the beginning, because I knew I was gonna get interviewed by Indu.
That's valid. Has similar feelings.
The question I had for you both is, do you think creativity and art are synonymous? I'll answer it, but I want to get your perspective first.
Creativity and art being synonymous?
Do you think they're the same thing, or do you think they're different?
I think creativity is the action, and then the art is the product. I think creativity is like the thought of what you're going to do. So like in my previous definition of art being everything, I think in me saying a kind word, the thought was the creativity portion of it, and me actually saying that kind word was the art. So I don't think they're synonymous. They're not the same thing, but they are involved. I think creativity creates art.
I love that.
Yeah.
How do you look at that?
I look at it as they're very paralleled. Like art is creativity and creativity is art, because they're all a form of expression. And to me, art is just expression. Like a leaf floating in the air because of the mega winds happening right now is art to me.
Yeah.
Because it's just doo-doo. Like it's just like, I think that's art. Like if I saw someone take a video of that, post it, I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's art. That's beautiful. Look at it, just kind of letting nature do its thing and follow its little like stack of other hay fellas, you know?
Yeah, the aerodynamics behind that is the creativity, I think. That the wind, the leaf blowing is the art, but the creative process is the fact that it's gravity, for example, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It kind of goes back to like beauty being in the eye of the beholder. I think that's very similar to art too. Someone might look at an apple falling from a tree and look at like the theatrics of it and see how beautiful it is, or Isaac Newton might look at it and think about the gravity behind it.
For sure.
I don't think so it's very dependent on how people look at it. And like going back to the question of art and creativity, I think not all what am I trying to say? Creativity doesn't always result in art, and I think that's okay.
I think that's okay
about
too.
us working in a corporate business setting, we always talk about creative problem solving.
Yeah.
Creativity is just thinking about things differently.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking outside the bounds that we're so programmed to think within. But the outcome of that doesn't have to be art. It could be a dissertation or a business proposal. Some people might look at that as art. For me, that's more strategy and more like monotonous, so I wouldn't necessarily categorize that as art. So creativity is a way of thinking. Creativity could result in art, but not always.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I feel like sometimes though the world is the easel and then we ourselves are the art. Because we technically are a creation, like we're creatures, you know?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like when you pop something out, like you make a little painting and you prop it up or something, like you aren't the creature, you know what I mean? Like you're like the manifestation of a making from something else, which is the human that made this thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like the easel is like the world.
Yeah.
And then
That's beautiful.
we humans reflect what the world looks like right now.
Yeah.
Due to our conditioning, to our domestication, the way we're like evolving to be is a reflection of the world, and we're like the outcome of it. You know? So like we're the art as well. Yeah.
I love
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I was envisioning, we were talking like a painting of a painting of someone also painting. With that definition of the easel, like being something like, imagine if we're the art, then we're also the art, but we're also painting our own picture within the painting. Like I've always been fascinated by like looking at like watching TV as somebody else watching TV, of that person watching TV, of that person watching TV.
Inception.
That's yeah, right.
Yeah,
and so I
Inception.
think that's what like we're the art, but we're also painting our art within the art.
I love that.
Yeah. I
Ooh,
see that.
Can I ask another question? This
Sure.
conversation
Yeah.
sparked into me. I know we talk about what is art, but to you both, what isn't art? Or do you think everything is art? Where do you draw the line?
I think everything is.
I think everything is,
I think everything is. I used to think it like certain things were art only. Like there was like a category where it was like this isn't art and this is. Recently though, last couple of years, like I think everything is. Like in any way that there's a form of expressing anything, I feel like is art. Like the art of thinking, the art of walking, the art of waving, the art of like I don't know. I think everything's an art.
It's so interesting. And you said you agree with that?
I agree with that. I think everything is art too. Yeah, I don't think there isn't anything that isn't art. Based off my new version of like thinking of like art as not being actually a physical like thing that you create, although it's not limited to just that.
Yeah.
What isn't art to you, Indu?
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm open to being wrong or my definition evolving. But to me, certain things are art and certain things are not art. And I say that because to me, art and beauty are synonymous. I think anytime you create something with the intention of like bringing a thought-provoking aspect to the world, or you're saying beautiful words to someone, there's always an element of beauty there. So that's why I have a hard time thinking about like negativity or hatred out in the world, or like hate speech to me is not art. So that's kind of why I draw the line of anything that is done with the intent of beauty is art. Even though it might not resonate with me, I can still appreciate it. But if it's a negative or hate-filled, I just have a hard time accepting that as art.
Really?
Yes.
But do you accept it as creative? Because it is a creation of someone.
It's a creation, but I don't know if it's creativity. Because again, creativity to me is the intention of creating something beautiful, something different, something thought-provoking. Whereas I just struggle with how that applies to other contexts that have a more negative connotation.
What about a tornado?
I don't consider that art.
What?
Really? I think it is.
See, that's
I think
the
it
reason why I
is.
ask is because
I
it's
think
like
it is.
that's something negative, but that's a creation of the universe. The same universe that is responsible for the beautiful like rainbows and the waves and the ocean and the blue sky and the clouds.
Yeah.
Same universe creates tornadoes and hurricanes.
I think so. Maybe that's our I think it's a creation, but I don't think all creation is art. It's similar. Like I think about, let's take food as an example, like a Michelin star restaurant creating this like very original piece, like a dish for people to consume with a lot of thought, intent, and creativity, is not comparable to let's say a fast food restaurant that just gets instructions on how to make something, so they're just following steps and like deep frying something and giving that to you. They're both food, they're both creations, but one is art and one is just food to me.
But in your definition of beauty, would you know what beauty is if you didn't see ugly?
That's what I'm saying. There's always a contrast, right?
And so is that necessary?
I think so.
The contrast is necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of like how you are, like, you appreciate happiness because you know the other side of the coin. Like, there's, that's why if everything is art, then nothing is art. It's kind of how I think about it.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
If everything is art, then nothing is art.
Yeah, so, like, there has to be some contrast to art, right?
But then is it subjective?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Because, like, to me, something that you find as not beautiful may be considered like art to me, or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Sorry, I'm thinking about so many things.
Oh my gosh, please share.
I find beautiful that a lot of people don't find beautiful, that they think are really ugly.
Like what?
Like little rats running around.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
so beautiful.
That's so.
I can appreciate that.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's where we all disagree, because I find them really beautiful, but y'all don't. Y'all find it ugly.
Art, is beauty and art like synonym? I think a lot of things can be beautiful, but they all don't have to be art. Or do you think they are?
I think they are art.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're a creation. They were made for a reason.
Yeah. I feel like I'm definitely someone who romanticizes a lot of things, though.
Me too.
So, and I think that's a reason that I find beauty in something like that. Like little, like if you see a little pack of rats running around, I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. How, like, you know, like I find so, but yeah, it's subjective. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're like, and I'm like, oh.
Now, what if a big pack of rats came into your apartment? How you feeling then?
I'd be scared.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful.
They're so cute.
God. They're so cute.
I'd be scared, but like also really happy. You know, I think that's
happy.
I think that's where both emotions could coexist. You know.
Okay, we gotta test this out.
Wait, happy and scared at the same time?
Yeah, I'd be terrified because it's like I don't know what they're carrying. 1, 2, they're all up in my personal space. That's not nice. But I'm also happy because it's like I do think they're beautiful. I do think they're like they make me happy because I find them really cute and beautiful and like, you know. But I could feel both.
Yeah.
You know, like have you ever felt that though? Both of you, like moments where there's like a quote unquote negative emotion, but you're still feeling like a quote unquote positive emotion.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
And vice versa too.
Yeah.
When you have like something positive happen, like there's always like a seed of negative, like there's always a loss in the game, or there's always a gain in the loss necessarily.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think you are? Just kind of wrapping things up. What do you think you are in regards to the art or the easel?
I have a thought. I'm gonna start saying it. I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere.
Okay, let's see where it goes. We're down for the journey.
So to me, so much of how I look at the world is very anchored on the people I'm around, the people I interact with. Like not always the people that are closest to me, but even small interactions that we have, like shapes how I look at the world. So it almost seems like in every interaction, you are the artist in your life and other people are the easel. You're going in and having an impact on them, negative or positive, and to them you're the easel. So I feel like we're all the easel and we're all the artist depending on what perspective we look at it from. You like as an artist have the power to make someone's life beautiful and like thought-provoking or negative. Like, you have the power to do that.
Mhm.
So you're the artist and from your perspective, but to them they're the artist, because we all have the power to create, and how that impacts others is what we need to be mindful of.
Yeah. And what type of art are you enjoying right now?
Ooh. I think
Rats?
music.
No playing.
Rats.
I'm joking. Because we know what Gina likes. That's her form of entertainment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I support you. I just have my fears.
Valid. That's valid though. That's valid.
For me, music is something that's major. I don't live very close to where I work, so my commute in the car is like almost like 45 minutes to an hour every day. So blasting music and singing along, it gives me so much joy like no other. Just having music and like just belting out songs that I love just gives me so much energy and happiness. So I think that's one that I spend a lot of time consuming. I love entertainment, so watching new shows and just appreciating the creativity and thought process and beauty that went behind bringing that to life, I think is very important. And also just the beauty of human connection. That's probably the top of my list. There, again, with every single person that comes into your life, there's something very beautiful or like a big lesson that they bring in, and I think that's something we should be mindful of and appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah. And one more question. As you're working yourself back to like that traumatic moment that happened when you were a kid in the High School Musical thing, like, are you eventually going to get to a place where you're doing more like acting things, or like, I know we were talking about like off camera and like a few weeks ago, improv and things like that.
Yeah.
So is that your goal to get back into, so you can, I guess, heal that inner child that was hurt in that particular moment?
Absolutely. And I think looking back, it's so silly. It wasn't like a majorly traumatic moment or anything, but it's so like interesting how much someone's words can have an impact.
That's
on you.
true.
I think that's my biggest reflection when I think back on that. That's why whenever I speak to someone, I never want anything I say to hurt them in any way. That's not always possible. Like, you are going to hurt people, but I think that was my biggest learning. And yes, absolutely, it's not like I'm not tied to acting or singing or this or that. Like, it's not anything specific. I just want to be creative in whatever means that might be, whether it's like making a short film or just like posting more content on like YouTube and TikTok. I just want to get away from the mindset of just being a corporate robot, if that makes sense. Just so in any way, whether that's improv, acting classes, singing classes, like, I just want to try it all.
Yeah.
That's kind of the place I'm at right now.
That's amazing. I love that.
And then I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like your creativity comes from? Like, when you think of all these things that you want to explore, do you feel like it's coming from a place where like you want to discover more about yourself? Is it more of just like expressing like the need you have to think on the different side of your brain, or is it to bring more joy in your life? Like, I guess, what do you feel has made you tap into that? Because sometimes it could be a thought and then you're like, okay, and then you just shut down, kind of a thing. So like, what is that for you?
I love this question so much. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, some people are very happy with just being analytical and just focusing on that and not worrying about, like, why am I always pulled to creativity? And I think for me, it's the idea of art has the power to spread joy to people. And I think about this in two ways. Someone's time is the most precious resource in the world. If they're willing to give you their time, that means a lot. And people give their time in masses to kind of like the stereotypical forms of art that we think about, whether it's watching movies or listening to music. So these artists, like, when they put out songs, they have the power to give people so much joy. When they're going to a tough time, how many people listen to music and find comfort in that? When they're having a bad day, how many people watch sitcoms and find joy in that? The ability for art to bring joy to people is just so beautiful to me. So, and I just have so much respect for artists. Like, there are some artists I listen to, I love their voice. Like, I just want to give their voice a hug. Like, it's so beautiful. And I don't know, just the impact that someone you've never met can have on you all because of art is so beautiful. And I want to find what that is for me and how I can maybe like put that out into the world and contribute to, again, like a small part of making the world more beautiful
Right.
in whatever capacity that could be.
Right. So you being
love that.
inspired by someone is actually inspiring you to inspire somebody else.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
go
I-
ahead.
go-
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I think that highlights the power of community and a support network in creativity.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like you were talking earlier about the impact of words, right? What if those words were different? I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like when I was little,
Sheesh.
and so many people would, and everyone's experienced this. I feel like
Yeah.
it's such a common thing in our human experience. Where as a kid, you're like, oh, okay, I guess that you're right. And you kind of just block yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that inspiring someone that inspires you and it continues this domino effect just shows like you can't do it alone. Like, and that's what makes us human, is that human connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you need that support network, you need that community. And I think oftentimes we just think of like, oh, an artist and they're out here with their materials and they're just going. And it's like, no, it takes a whole community
Absolutely.
to encourage them to do their own thing, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that was just really powerful what you just said about like what if those words were different.
Yeah.
Like you probably be getting a little Academy Award right now probably if she no really imagine if like she said or somebody in
Yeah.
your corner was like, oh, you're trying out for that role, like you're gonna change the game, like you gonna
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you, like although you don't look like this person, you about to like you can be the next person if you do this. Like imagine how many barriers. Imagine they told you that when you were a kid.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Totally.
Your life could not your life is where it needs to be right now.
Oh, absolutely.
But
yeah.
like just imagine that one
Yeah.
thing could have changed what you decided as your passion in life. For example,
No, absolutely.
You know.
And the other thing this reminds me of is the importance of representation.
Yeah,
It's what, like
100%.
with little kids when they're watching again like TV or just like people that they watch, even though you might not be a big part in their life, just having representation and seeing people that look like you doing various different things, like contributing beautiful things to the world, whether it's songwriting or whatever it is. I think that makes a big impact. So yeah, that's kind of what that reminded me
Definitely.
of.
Yeah,
Amazing.
for sure.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, I think
really
so,
love this
too.
conversation, Indu. I learned so much more about you. Stories that we've talked so much. We've had hours of conversations, and I've never heard that that particular story about the High School Musical thing. Like,
Yeah.
and that's beautiful. How you're like how you said you're working yourself back to that.
Yeah.
That's the journey back to yourself, and like trying to find out who you are and who you were necessarily. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I do think for those listening, I hope you took something out of it, obviously. But if you didn't and you want to take away one thing, I think is to pay attention to the words that we say. I think we speak on impulse a lot. And it's good to do that, obviously, to release. But I think being mindful of those around us is really important. And obviously, like, we're not in charge of everyone's emotions, obviously,
Yeah.
boundaries. But, like, just being mindful, being considerate, being thoughtful, like, words do mean a lot. And I think of all, like, the little younglings, just young kids out there, you know what I mean? And, like, just be supportive. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
And if you have nothing nice to say, just shut the mouth. Like, there is no need to say it. Like, journal about it. Like, why are you so angry?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why were you about to say that? Okay. So, just wanted to add that.
And along those lines, bringing that to practice, I just want
Yeah.
to say I really appreciate you both, and I'm very proud of you both for doing this. It's not a small thing, like the amount of setup and planning that it takes to bring one episode to life. And you both have been doing this consistently for what, like 8-9 weeks now. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
So I'm very
Yeah.
proud
Yeah.
of you both, and I'm very inspired by how you're bringing creativity into your life. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's sweet.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, people. That was our note right